All right, guys. Obviously the first day of training camp, so we're not going to get too far ahead of ourselves in terms of, where we expect to be 6 weeks from now. Our focus right now is just get a little bit better every single day, and that's really what we're doing. You get into training camp. Training camp's like a long, dark tunnel, all right? And there's no light at the end of it. You just got to focus on one day at a time, one rep at a time, one practice at a time. I know that's cliche, but it's the truth. And that's what I want our guys to do. I don't want them to focus on the results right now. I want them to focus on the process and the things that we're going to ask them to do to get better. So that's where we're at. I thought today, for our first day out there, was pretty good. I thought the retention from what we did in the spring to what we saw out there today, I was pleased with what I saw there. And yet we still got a long way to go. So we're going to keep working every day, continue to battle, and continue to improve and get this defense better.
How would you characterize the impact of Jalen Johnson's absence for him here over these next several weeks, and then for you as you're trying to put this defense together during camp?
Yeah, look, I think number one is I know Jalen's going to do everything he can to get himself back and get himself ready as quickly as possible. He's a consummate professional, so I feel good about him being ready when his body's ready to go. So from that standpoint, not a ton of concern there. And I think really for us, our focus really has to be on the guys that we have out here right now. We're going to work on coaching the hell out of them and getting those guys better. And look, sometimes you have to face some adversity, and how do you overcome that? And we'll get a good opportunity to see who wants to step up in his absence. So so that's where we're at on that.
How nice was it for you to see Tremaine the gelling with the rest of the guys here in the short term?
Yeah, look, I mean, obviously we'd love for him to be out there. That's not the way it is right now. And so we're not going to get into, what the consequences of that are or anything like that. We're going to focus on, just like I said earlier, we're going to focus on each and every day, coaching the hell out of the guys that are out here, getting those guys better. And then when Jalen's out there, he'll add a lot to our defense.
One thing that Ben was talking about,
I'll come back to you.
Come back to him.
Yeah.
One of the things Ben talked about yesterday was just learning game management, and that's something that you never really have to do until you become a head coach. In your own experience, how did you learn that, and is there any substitute for experience, even if it's a preseason game?
No, look, I mean, I think this, number one, is he's incredibly intelligent. He understands the game. And I think really from an offensive standpoint, there's a lot of game management that goes on within play calling as an offensive coordinator. So I think he's had a lot of experience in that regard. Certainly there's some veteran coaches on his staff that can help him in that way. There's some other guys within the building that he's got in place that can help him there. But I wouldn't concern myself with that too much. He'll be just fine.
When you were a young coach, what did you do to get yourself ready? The first season is that.
Exactly the same things that he just talked about yesterday in his press conference. You're watching tape and you're trying to put yourself through as many of those scenarios as you can as you're watching tape. When we're out here at practice, you're putting yourself through those scenarios. But ultimately, there's no substitute for being in live battle and being able to do those things. So, just like anything else, all of us as coaches, when I first started calling defensive plays, I feel like I'm much further along than I was on day one as a defensive coordinator. So that experience has helped me in that way, and I think that'll help Ben as he goes through as a head coach.
How nice was it to see Tremaine start off the day with an interception? What kind of playmaker do you think that he can be in your?
Yeah, I'm anticipating him being an exceptional playmaker for us. He's got size, he's got range, he's got speed. A lot of the things that we're going to look for in terms of it. Look, it's hard to throw over him. He's got a lot of length there in the middle of the field. So I'm excited to see what he can do. And obviously that was a good start. But we got a long way to go.
Were you moving Tremaine and TJ kind of across the formation?
Yeah, I think in particular early on in camp, I think it's important that you cross-train guys because you only have 53 guys on game day, and you're probably going to have about 22 defensive players to carry into a game. And so injuries happen. You have to make adjustments within the course of the game. And so the more guys that we have that can play multiple spots and do multiple things, the better we're going to be. Ultimately, what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to put our best 11 on the field. And so to do that, you have to be able to cross-train some guys so you can mix and match and put guys in different positions.
Dennis, when the offense started kind of individual drills, it looked like the defense as a whole was doing up downs for a while.
That's correct.
What can you kind of explain what was behind?
Yeah, I think this. I think it's all part of building the culture of what type of defense that we're going to be, and you have to pay the toll. You have to pay the price. It's a privilege to be on this defense, and so we've been doing that on every defense that I've been associated with since 2009, and it's a way to mentally train players to be tough and push through adversity. Training camp's going to be difficult, and we're going to have to be able to overcome when we're tired. How do we focus? How do we concentrate? How do we dig down deep inside and rise up and make plays in critical situations of the game? And a lot of times that comes with being tired. So it's all just part of, as much as training them physically, it's about training them mentally.
Dennis, it looked like Shamar tweaked something kind of in the practice there. Was he okay?
I have no idea. I saw him kind of get rolled up a little bit. He looked like he got up. He looked like he was fine, but I haven't heard anything from a medical standpoint.
I know you said that you'll be rotating some guys and getting guys to look at, positions, but to get the 1 reps today in Jalen's spot, what did he show you, I guess, or what did he see in that spot early?
Well, I think first and foremost, he was here all offseason, and he was in that position all offseason. And so, I look at the depth chart right now as just a starting spot. I really don't look at it as anything that's set in any sort of concrete or anything like that. You'll see throughout the course of training camp, you'll see some guys that get kind of moved around, switched around. Sometimes we might want to see a guy that's been running with the twos. We might want to see him against the ones just to see maybe against a little bit better competition how they respond. And so I just think that's just part of what we do within the course of training camp.
On that end, what have you seen from Terrell Smith during the spring? What do you expect?
Well, look, I mean, honestly, we didn't see a lot of him in the spring. He was coming off the injury. He's worked extremely hard to get himself back. I'm excited about seeing what he can do. And look, I think he's got some of the characteristics that we're looking for in our corners. Okay, he's got size, he's got speed, he's got length. And those are things that I think are important to play that position for us and our style of defense. And so, look, we're going to let these guys go out and compete really at every single position, and then let the chips fall where they may.
Do you want to see a vocal leader emerge? Is that important to you?
Well, I think the best defenses or best teams that I've ever been on have been player-driven, player-led. And so, but I think that has to happen naturally. I don't think that's anything that you try to force to happen. I do think we have some guys on our team that have some leadership qualities. And it's kind of our job as coaches to try to foster that a little bit. Give them some freedom to make some checks, make some adjustments, see how they handle it. But I feel good about the type of guys that we have in our building. I think we have a lot of guys that love football, a lot of guys that are willing to work, a lot of guys that are willing to sacrifice for each other and for the team. And I think those are things that we're gonna need to count on throughout the course of the season.
What's your defense getting in Tano as a pass rusher? What was your input in terms of your pass with him?
Well, I think this. We signed Tano, and we also signed Trey Flowers. Both of those guys have experience within this system. Tano with me in New Orleans. Trey was with Ryan Nielsen in Atlanta and then in Jacksonville. So I think having guys that have some familiarity with what we're doing defensively, especially when you bring them in, in training camp, the ramp up period in terms of mentally understanding what we're trying to get accomplished, becomes a little bit quicker in that regard. So, look, I like Tano. Again, he's got a lot of the traits that we're looking for, size, length. You guys are going to hear me say that a lot. I mean, I think that's important in the game of football today. And so he's just another piece that we get to add in to create as much potential competition as we can. And look, I think we've got a couple of young guys that I'm excited to work with at the defensive end position too. So I think if we if we continue to work and continue to improve, I think that position, I'm talking about the defensive line, has a chance to be a strength of ours.
Dennis, Tyrann Mathieu retired the other day. What was it like coaching him and what did he mean specifically to your defense?
Yeah, he was outstanding. I was a little surprised to see that last night, but yet that person, that player, for him to be able to go out on his terms, I think he has every right to be able to do that, and it was extreme pleasure to be able to have an opportunity to work with him, not just as a football player, as a teammate, but also the type of guy that he became, the type of man he became. I got nothing but good things to say about Tyrann Mathieu. Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys.